criminal cyber gang has stolen as much as $1 billion from over 100 financial institutions over the past 2 years. The gang, which has been dubbed
Carbanak.
The authors of the report call it the great bank robbery of the modern era.
Their ultimate goal was to steal as much money as possible, and they largely accomplished that.
In what has been dubbed as one of the greatest bank robberies of the modern era, a sophisticated cybercrime gang, known as Carbanak, managed to steal an astonishing $1 billion from over 100 financial institutions across the globe. Their reign of cyber terror lasted for more than 2 years, shaking the very foundations of banking security. What they accomplished was nothing short of a cyber heist masterpiece. Their goal? To steal as much money as possible, and they succeeded on an unimaginable scale. The story begins in 2014, in the quiet hours of the night in Russia. One of Kaspersky Labs' top cybersecurity researchers received an urgent phone call from a panicked bank employee. He was so terrified that he refused to explain the situation over the phone, fearing his line was tapped and his emails compromised. The urgency in his voice couldn't be ignored. He insisted on meeting face-to-face, suspecting something far more sinister was happening at the heart of one of Russia's largest financial institutions. When the Kaspersky team finally met him, they discovered something alarming. The bank's domain controller, the central nervous system of the institution, was sending critical data to unknown servers in China. In the digital world, the domain controller holds the keys to the entire kingdom. If compromised, attackers could manipulate everything from customer accounts to multi-million-dollar transactions through the bank's SWIFT system. Realizing they were facing a massive breach, the Kaspersky experts went to work. They began scouring every part of the bank's network, from computers to phones, to find the source of the attack. At first glance, everything appeared normal. But when they dug deeper, they found several computers running VNC screen-sharing software the bank's IT department had never installed. Something or someone was silently watching them. One cybersecurity expert decided to test a theory. He opened a blank document on one of the infected machines and simply typed, "Hello." What happened next confirmed their worst fears. The computer replied on its own, "Hello, you won't catch us." This chilling interaction set off a manhunt for the elusive cybercriminals. How had they infiltrated the bank's most secure systems? As Kaspersky's team traced the attack, they discovered that a simple phishing email had been the starting point. A bank employee had received an email that appeared to be from a legitimate customer, complete with a seemingly harmless Word document attached. However, that document was laced with a deadly piece of malware. Once the employee opened it, the malware silently installed itself, granting the hackers a backdoor into the bank's network through the VNC software. This wasn't just any phishing attack. This was spear phishing, a highly targeted form of cyber attack that mimics legitimate communication, convincing victims to open infected files or links. The malware spread throughout the bank's network like wildfire, eventually finding its way to the administrator's computer, which controlled access to the entire system. The hackers' next move was cunning. They deliberately slowed down the administrator's computer by running multiple programs, hoping the admin would call IT support to fix the issue. When the IT staff arrived and logged in with their admin credentials, they unknowingly handed over the keys to the kingdom. Using a keylogger, the hackers recorded every keystroke and password, gaining unrestricted access to the bank's most critical systems. With the network now fully compromised, the Carbanak group entered Phase 3 of their plan, extracting money. But they weren't in a hurry. They spent months silently watching the bank's operations, studying employee routines, understanding their protocols, and learning exactly how the institution functioned. Then they struck. First, the hackers impersonated high-ranking bank officials and transferred enormous sums of money through the SWIFT system to accounts under their control. They also used the bank's e-payment system to funnel funds into accounts worldwide, particularly in China and the US, where accomplices, known as money mules, would withdraw the cash. But that was just one part of their operation. In a move straight out of a Hollywood thriller, they even took control of ATMs. With their remote access to the bank's network, they programmed ATMs in remote areas to spit out cash at designated times. Once again, money mules collected the funds. Their most ambitious and reckless scheme involved inflating account balances. The hackers would target accounts with small balances, inflate them by millions, and then pocket the difference. But one mistake nearly blew their cover. They accidentally inflated an elderly Russian man's account from 34 rubles to over 10 million. Thankfully for them, the bank assumed it was a clerical error, and no investigation followed. Despite Kaspersky's extensive investigation, the stolen $9 million from this particular bank remained untraceable, and the case eventually went cold. But the Carbanak group didn't stop there. In Singapore, at a cybersecurity conference, Kaspersky's CEO, Eugene Kaspersky, shared their findings. It was then that they realized this wasn't an isolated incident. Europol had also registered similar attacks across Europe. This prompted the formation of the Joint Cybercrime Action Task Force, JCAT, a coalition of intelligence agencies and cybersecurity experts who teamed up to track down the Carbanak gang. A small but crucial mistake in the Carbanak code finally gave investigators a break. By sending a specific request to the hacker's command and control server, they could get a reply that would help them locate it. After scanning countless servers worldwide, they hit pay dirt. The server was in the Netherlands. Dutch police seized it, revealing the true scope of the Carbanak gang's operations. They weren't just targeting Russia and Europe, but had infiltrated banks across Asia, Africa, and the US, stealing over $700 million. As the task force intensified its efforts, the Carbanak group seemed to disappear, only to resurface in Taiwan in 2016, where a blunder by two inexperienced money mules led to their exposure. After forgetting $60,000 in an ATM, local police quickly tracked down and arrested several members of the gang, leading to a massive breakthrough. The story of Carbanak is far from over. While several members, including a key figure named Dennis K., were arrested in Spain in 2018,